My name is Claudia Villegas, and I'm wanting to share with you the importance of understanding how to work with adult learners. Malcolm Knowles, an American educator, is known for his use of the term andragogy, which relates to adult learners in education. In 1984, Knowles came up with four main principles that are needed when working with adults in education. They are: one, adults must be involved in the creation and evaluation of their instruction. Two, they're going to use their life experience to lay the foundation for learning. Three, in order for adults to be engaged, their learning must be relevant to them and impact them directly. Lastly, adults work towards learning material that solves a problem and that is not just contextual information. In addition to the main principles, Knowles included five misconceptions that people have about adult learners. These misconceptions are self concept, that a person matures and they become more self driven by their concepts of themselves. Secondly, adult learners experience more and they accumulate, so they have a growing reservoir of experiences and they bring that to the table. Third, they're ready to learn. This means that adult learners are more focused and ready because of their skills and they can relate it to their work. The fourth misconception is that adult learners have an orientation in learning, that they learn with urgency and they're opening to learning new ideas. Finally, meditation. Adult learners have intrinsic motivation and they're self directed, and that means they want to continue learning. This information is extremely important to know when working with adult learners. Each adult is unique, and if his presentation is going to be meaningful and successful, the presenter must be willing to connect with the adults and make accommodations during their presentation. An example would be to reference uh, things from the teaching strategies meant not to use things for children. Speaking down to them in a negative way might trigger a negative experiences that they had from the past. Knowing the cultural intelligence of their audience will prompt adult learners to interact, socialize, and communicate more effectively during a presentation. Thinking of ways in which to tap into their life experiences and their resource will help create a nurturing environment that the veterans in the room can then share with newly hired adults. Adults come from a variety of generational groups. We have the baby boomers, Generation X, millennials, and making the assumption that all learners are going to learn at the same pace is incorrect. When creating and delivering a presentation to adult learners, there are some best practices to keep in mind to ensure success and effectiveness. So, some things may be the way that the presentation is shown: large font, limited quantity, narrow content on spaces, eliminate distractions, make it move with clarity. Have a backup plan in case technology does not work. An example: share the deck with the audience, have a printed version of your presentation so teachers or the adults can read it as you are presenting. Make sure your tone, your volume, your pace, the vocabulary, and imagery are going to match the audience so they see themselves. Eliminate distractions on your slide presentations: sounds, images, cartoons, um, moving images. In order for the environment to be positive and encourage communication, there needs to be a collective and a response towards eliminating biases from the presenter and the audience. Some simple ways for a presenter to begin is by greeting the audience with care, to non biased terms like ladies and gentlemen, but instead refer to them as my audience, my friends, my colleagues. This recognition should be used also when thinking about jokes. Who is going to be the joke? What is it going to represent? If you're going to contain information, who is being involved and who is being left out? Both the presenters and the adult learners must be willing to demonstrate an empathy with learning and communicating. Through the lens of empathy, they need to place themselves in the position of others and ask clarifying questions rather than jumping to conclusions. A presenter might want to give a bit of background information about themselves that may help the learners feel a connection. And the adults may also want to share relevant, important information about themselves with the rest of the group. In presentation, the choice of how the presentation is created and presented reveals a level of biases. Adult learners want to feel seen and valued, their time is valuable, and the information being presented needs to be relevant and it should be something that can be implemented the very next day. Refrain from generalizing comments when working with adults, groups. Don't use data that is biased, data that does not reflect to their community or themselves. To sum up, adult learners in education are constantly being told what to teach, what material to use, and how to teach it. Presentations give adult learners time to learn from other people and then contribute to the overall success of the presentation. Being respectful, honest, open to learn and share will create a positive learning environment. Biases may interfere with some adults being able to gain the overall purpose, but a well presenter hopefully is willing to work with these reluctant learners and then help them learn to their full ability.